In 1063, when we had the beginning of the construction of the cathedral, the architect, the first architect that designed and built the cathedral was called Busqueto. Busqueto was not an Italian artist, but he was an artist coming from Middle Eastern countries. And this justifies the style that he invented here in Pisa, because he invented the so-called Pisan Romanesque style. What does it mean? Pisan because it was invented here in Pisa, Romanesque because it was the period of time called the Romanesque time, the Romanesque art. Okay, actually the Pisan Romanesque means a mix, a combination of several elements, geometric figures, techniques that Mr. Busqueto borrowed from other traditions and cultures. For example, if you look at the facade, you can see that the higher part of the facade is made up of 4 galleries of columns. And that's a typical element of the Romanesque style in the north of Italy, okay? In Lombardy, for example, where Milan, Turin are. Looking at the lower part of the facade, you can see round arches. The round arch is the typical element in architecture of the Romanesque style, again, in general. We can also see 3 beautiful mosaics, okay, all of them with a golden background. We will find when we are inside the cathedral another huge mosaic. Golden background means Byzantine influence that we also had here in Pisa. Who do they represent? We have on the right hand side Saint John the Baptist, okay, because the cathedral is in front of the baptistry, which is the building dedicated to Saint John the Baptist. Up above the central gate we have the Assumption of the Virgin, because remember the cathedral is entitled to the Assumption, Santa Maria Assunta. On the left hand side, Santa Reparata. Santa Reparata was one of the first martyrs that we had in the Christian world. According to the tradition, before having that cathedral in front of you, we had another smaller church dedicated to Santa Reparata. That's why we have the mosaic dedicated to Santa Reparata. If you look at the geometric figures to the right and to the left of the Assumption, you can see lots of figures, okay? Triangles, circles, squares, rectangles with different colors. The technique that you may think they use, it's the mosaic, but it's not. Where you see the golden background, it's mosaic. The other technique, it's called marble inlays. What does it mean? Marble inlays means taking a piece of marble, carving it, creating holes, usually with a geometric shape. Then those holes had to be filled up with smaller pieces of stones, usually using different colors to create beautiful contrast that had to fit exactly in the holes created before. So that was a very difficult technique, a very old one, because it was invented by the Romans, called opus sectile, then developed very well in the Middle Eastern countries, and then brought back again much later in the Middle Ages by the maritime republics. So Pisa was one of them. The 3 doors, okay, are 3 original doors dating back to the beginning of 1600s, but they are not the original medieval doors, because in 1585 we had a fire inside the cathedral that destroyed several things, including the original medieval doors. So those doors are still old because they date back to 1600s, but they are not the original medieval ones. We have episodes of Jesus Christ represented on the one on the right and on the one on the left. On the central one we have stories, most important episodes of the Virgin's life, as of course the cathedral is dedicated to the Virgin. One more thing before we leave, and of course if you have any questions, please ask me, okay? If you look to the left of the left door, okay, where Santa Reparata is, to the left of that door, there's a sort of little house, okay, little triangle. Can you see it? To the left, okay? So that triangle is one of the two short sides of the Roman sarcophagus, where the first architect of the Cathedral of Pisa was buried inside. It was very common in the Middle Ages to bury people, very important people, inside Roman sarcophagi. So they were also recycling the sarcophagi, the Roman sarcophagi. And then after putting the body inside, they decided to place the sarcophagus inside the facade so that everybody coming here to Pisa, tourists, not tourists, everybody, they could come here, they could get to know who was the first and the most important architect of the Cathedral of Pisa, Busqueto. Okay? Any questions?